I just arrived to work to see a laundry bag full of clothes at the front of the shop, alongside several other bags. And then to come round to the back to see a CD stand, which is something we don't accept anymore because nobody will buy them, a bag full of books, and then something on top of that, which is a bin liner full. Now, we ask all the time, and it has been perpetuated for at least 30 years, please do not leave things outside the shop when the shop is closed, because oftentimes we end up finding items that we can't sell, they end up going into landfill, and it's just continuing this whole cycle of well, I don't know, but it's not good for the environment, is it really? And also, you're not doing anything. What's happening recently is that, I don't know whether you saw, but in terms of everything going on in Ukraine, they were doing a few calls for donations around this area, and people were finally getting to experience what we've been experiencing in charity shops for years, only because it's a short-term thing, hopefully, in the grand scheme of things, in terms of getting clothes and all these things to people. And they went out and said that people had just been offloading their rubbish, and they were sending bikinis and used swimsuits and just all the tat that they'd found in the summer wardrobe that they decided they didn't want anymore. And I can guarantee that's what I'll have at the front of the shop, because some people have been getting turned away from these donation centres, and so they've been coming to us. And the reason they were turned away from there is because their stuff was no good, and bringing it here, it is still no good. We've had it before where someone will ask me at the front of the shop whether we can accept something, and come round to the back, tell someone I said that they could accept it, and I get, we're there, they can come and ask us, and it didn't happen. So I'm just a bit irked now, which is not how I wanted to start my day. Well, actually, I started my day at about 5 to 5 because I could not get back to sleep this morning. I don't know what it was. So I kept trying to get to sleep, couldn't, ended up watching some stuff on YouTube, planned on listening to my audiobook, which is the final revival of Opal and Neb, and I'm recording a vlog of my reading of the Women's Prize books, and in that I've mentioned that I'm not really sure that the final revival of Opal and Neb is a book for me. In terms of things, it should be, because it does that thing that I liked recently, which I saw in The Moonstone and in, I can't remember which Agatha Christie it was. I feel like it was Five Little Pigs, but I can't be sure. But it's where all these different people come together to tell different parts of the narrative in order to build up this story. And I should really like that. And Opal and Neb, the way that they've done the audiobook is brilliant. Everyone's got their own voice actor doing the role, and they're all really getting into it, so much so that it doesn't feel like a book. It feels like a radio play or a documentary of sorts, and I enjoy that aspect of it. But maybe it's the story, maybe that's it, maybe that's what I don't particularly care about. Is so far, I don't know whether anything's going to change, but at the moment it's just been about how this band came together, and maybe that's going to change. I'm only at chapter 9. I don't know if you've read it and something does change, and I should keep at it, then do let me know. But at the moment I'm in this quandary as to whether to just not finish it, because earlier this week my friend Charlie and I, we both listened to the audiobook of The Exhibitionist by Charlotte Mendelssohn, and you'll see this in the vlog, but we ended up not particularly caring for that book. And I feel as though if I managed to read I didn't read it, if I managed to listen to the audiobook of The Exhibitionist and I didn't like that, then surely I should go and listen to the final revival of Opal and Neb. I have said I don't know whether just to wait and see whether it makes it onto the shortlist and decide whether to read it then. I do have to read 3 of the books by not this Thursday but the Thursday afterwards, because they've all been reserved by other people at the library. So they are This One Sky Day by Leonie Ross, Flamingo by somebody, and Careless by Kirsty Capes. Careless has surprised both Charlie and I in the strong narratorial voice that it has. And so I'm looking forward to that now, whereas I wasn't before, because I saw that it was a young adult novel. And I'm not here to bash novels that are written for the young adult market. It's just that I have found that I have outgrown them. So oftentimes when it comes to reading stuff from that market, I end up denigrating them, and it doesn't do anyone any favours. I just often find that they're not to my taste. But maybe it's just those books. Maybe it's the books that I'm picking up. Maybe, I don't know. It's like this, isn't it? Because I've read children's books and still find children's books that I like, but others that I dislike, because, you know, some of them I find have a patronising tone, or a tone that's not for me. And I always say, I think there'll definitely be children who are thrilled by this and really enjoy it, but I'm too old. Which is something else I've been recognising again recently, when YouTube's been recommending music to me, and it's been by teenage girls, and they're all talking about Heartbreak, and just think, nah, I'm too old for this. It makes sense. You're going through these first touches of pain, but oh, morning, Mr. Magpie. It's landed in the car park. I'm not taking that as any sort of mystical sign, but there are now 2 magpies in the car park. The first one landed and you fell off the window. So the second one's here now. Is this supposed to be some sort of Celtic sign? Or were you just not fixed onto the windscreen properly? I don't know. I don't want to question these things, because you never know how it could turn out. I tell you, this is the problem with having spiritualistic ancestors and superstitious ancestors. Because even though you can end up not being superstitious or having any of those things yourself, because you recognise that they're actually just a bit harmful, or they're just a way to have a bit of fun before you die, things like that happen. And you're just like, oh, yeah, well, there we go. Oh. Either way, it's a nice spring day today. You can't see it because I parked in the shade. I could have parked over there in the bit of sunlight, but we always park here now by the container. Anyway, yes, that's what I was talking about, wasn't it? I was talking about these young female singers. Well, I say young female singers because, frankly, I don't listen to a lot of male singers. I never have. Meatloaf, Elvis, they're the 2 that I can think of. Mahmood, the Italian singer, is one that I've been listening to recently. I mean, I suppose we could go with the Giornalisti, an Italian band where there's a male singer in that. But yeah, I don't seem to navigate towards them. Unless it's I Was Born Under a Wandering Star as well. That's only been recent because it was on Popmaster on Monday. Oh, Lee Marvin that was, if you're wondering. I think it's from Paint Your Wagon. And there was another one, it sprung into my head and it's disappeared again. Oh, is it Johnny Cash? I don't know whether it is. It's the song Hurt. I think it's the song. Either way, it's been a weird one with music. Because I've been listening to audiobooks, I haven't been listening to music on here, so I've been listening to music at home. Moona released a new song, so naturally I had to listen to that, which is called Anything But Me, and is, I wouldn't call it a departure from their other works, more of an advancement into what we've seen before. from what we've seen before. And I like it, but I feel like I'm going to like anything that they put out. It's just one of those things. And then last night I had a thing of just listening to music after, well, what's happened is Canal Boat Diaries is back with Robbie Cumming on the BBC. I've watched 3 episodes on iPlayer. I don't know if there's any more. And so I've watched that, and then last night I'd watched an episode of that, discovered Bob's Burgers. A few more episodes of season 12 had gone on to Disney Plus, so watched a few episodes of that. And then I was like, do you know what, I want to listen to some music, so listen to some Haim. Well, actually I was watching music videos as well. Don't understand this. Never used to watch music videos before, and I've been maximising the screen, or whatever you call it, going to full screen and watching them and looking for, I don't know. Thinking about the storytelling techniques in music videos, that sort of thing. No idea why. Meanwhile, I've not written anything, but I am getting to that restless point that I talk about where I want to be writing something. I just haven't figured out what it's going to be yet. We have a read around at the writers group this coming Thursday, and I'm debating trying to write something new for that, or to whether to take back a poem that I have rewritten and see whether I can get further advice on that. Because even though I edited it once, I think I can see how to edit it again. That was a very loud vehicle. I don't know, the road is over there, so. You fell down again. It's just not working today. Don't know why you're not sticking to the windscreen as well as usual. So yeah, so I told you about this poem last week that I've rewritten, and now I think I know how to rewrite the second verse again. So I'm thinking of doing that. But in terms of writing another novel, I don't know whether it's because I haven't edited the entirety of Our Doris again yet since receiving Joy's comments about it. And I've seen these questions you should ask beta readers, so I don't know whether to ask Emily and Charlie about, well, not ask them about the questions, ask them the questions I've been told to ask. But I know that it's been 2 years since the last Alice Valentine book now, and you know, a few people have read it, but it didn't really get toured around, so not a lot of people know about it. But I feel like maybe I should go into writing the next Alice book just so that the series doesn't die a death, and we can actually get these books out there and people can find out what actually happened to Joanna Rollinshead, which is supposed to overarch over 5 books, all named. Not all, well, I know who dies in each one, but I don't know, I haven't plotted them as I did do with An Heir to Murder, which I've previously said. And then we have the Charity Shop novel, which I've chosen the protagonist of, who is going to be Alf's grandson from Our Doris, well, Alf and Edith's grandson. He was previously a character in the radio play, and the characters from the radio play are going to translate to the novel. Indeed, I think that Erin from Our Doris might make a few appearances in it as well. But there was something that just said to me, let's leave the radio play as one entity, and that tells Evie's story, and then we've got this that can tell Martin's story. Will Bev ever get to tell her story? I don't know. I don't know whether Bev has a separate story. If she does, she's not very forthcoming with it. And then A Prior Commitment, which I've been talking about for 8 years now. 8 years, and I still haven't written it. And I really like the idea of just writing this rather short book. I know that A Prior Commitment is going to be a novella. I've always known it's going to be a novella. Similarly, well, there was another book I had that was going to be called The Coffin Dodgers and was just going to be a bit of daft, but I don't know whether that'll ever get written now. I believe that I talked about that a few years back. A novel in which this group of older men decide that when they see a hearse, they're going to start walking in front of it. You know, just playing a game of chicken like they used to do as kids, but with a coffin instead. I don't know. There wasn't really much in it. Anyway, since my headphones haven't been working, I brought my Kindle to work. I also have a bag full of books that I am donating or returning. There's one book here that I'm not sure about donating, which is Maggie Gee's Dying in Other Words, because a friend gave this to me a few years ago. And this is the one where I liked the book until the end. And there are some books in here where it's been a case of they might have been books that I thought I would reread and I might have enjoyed them at the time, but there is nothing within the pages now that makes me want to go back. What else was there? I discovered a channel on YouTube that is showing classic films from Hollywood, most of them being crime noir, and I haven't watched any of them yet. I've seen that Joan Crawford spends some... that whole sentence didn't work, did it? I've seen Joan Crawford mentioned a few times in the titles and in the thumbnails they're using, but I haven't watched any of the films myself yet. However, I do believe that they are going to interest me because it does seem to be an era that I have enjoyed in the past, you know, minus classic space of misogyny in there, and you know that, you know, they didn't sometimes they didn't convey the best attitudes in films, is how I'll describe it. Reading wise, I'm still going on with the books of Jacob. I took a break earlier in the week for the Women's Prize books and then went back to it on Thursday, and then I'll be doing some more reading of that tomorrow. I tend to read it when I've got a huge, well, not a huge amount of time, but I've got a few hours that I can dedicate to it. I've had to break the spine on it, and that was mildly heartbreaking to me, but I was finding the book too heavy for my wrists, especially when I was feeling particularly arthritic last week, and so I've had to break the spine so that I can lie it down flat against the table, which is where I have to sit and read it now. I'd considered actually getting some a book stand from the shop. We have one here, and just plonking it down wherever I was sat, or some sort of tray or desk or something, so that I could sit down on the settee and read it. My mother returned to work this week after 11 months on the sick, and well, I think my little dog got used to it rather quickly. At first, she was a bit sad, I can definitely say that, because on Monday my brother said he got home and she was lying in my bed and she didn't get out of it all day, and this seemed to continue on Tuesday when I wasn't there, but on Wednesday I was off. We might have got soaked in the rain when I misjudged a cloud and thought that the rain wasn't going to be there, but it was okay. Thursday she wasn't too happy because I did go off to the writers group and leave her again, but she was okay. And I think that today she's going to be fine because my mother is getting weekends off, so she'll be able to give her more treats than she probably should have. Anyway, I'm going to have to go and see whether I can get the shutter to rise so that I can bring all of this crap in that I didn't particularly think that I don't think is going to be any good. It's one of those things where you think everybody knows operating hours are 9 till 5. I was here late last night, and by late I was here till 5:30. So I don't know why you drop them there like that. And it's the fact that they've put them at the front of the shop as well. We don't have any parking at the front of the shop. If you park at the front of our shop, you can get fined. You have to come around to the car park, which is only a left turn directly from where he's dumped all of these bags, and then a left turn again. The mind boggles, as my grandmother used to say. Just remembered, I'm at Holmes Chapel Library this Tuesday for my first reading in 2 years of An Heir to Murder. So I'm going back and I'm going to watch the video that I did back then for YouTube to see what portions of the book I read then, to get an idea as to what to read now. Because it's been it's been 2 years since I read the book as well, at least. Or did I read it last year? Did I read it last year for the anniversary? I didn't. Yes, I read it last year for the anniversary. So it's been a year. It's been a year since I read it, but it's been 2 years since I went anywhere. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to get any more libraries, because no one's been forthcoming when I've sent emails. I don't know whether... Well, another writer that I know has said that it's difficult for him to get readings as well, because with all of the libraries being closed for such a long time over the last 2 years, all of the writers are now trying to get back into the libraries. So before, where it was very easy for them to say to a local author, yeah, it's fine, come along, we've got this time here and we can help publicise it and all that. If a higher ranking author, let's say, would like to come and read at your library, then you're probably going to give the talk to them. And unfortunately, in the food chain of writers, I'm not very high up. I'm still very much an outlier trying to make a name for himself. A few people come and ask me when I've got more books out, and a few people have read them and enjoyed them. Well, I say a few. Well, I say a few. You know, we've definitely gone past the 1,000 mark, haven't we? Of books bought. Not books bought by me, books sold. Is that the way to say it? I don't know. It's been 7 years, hasn't it? 7 years since that first book. And all that's happened is I've grown more of a grouch, more of a grump, and older. Either way, I'm looking forward to it. It's a nice group of people. Means I have to actually shower on Tuesday now, which is not something I usually do. Tuesday's usually the day I let my hair relax. So that's not happening. I'm here today. I'm off tomorrow, which is where I'll just read and decompose and try and take Sally back down the towpath without getting soaked. Monday in work, Tuesday reading, Wednesday I'll have an Italian conversation with Una Signora. Thursday back to the writers group for a read around before I'm back in work. And in all that time, I've got to read at least 2 Women's Prize books, maybe finish the books of Jacob, and try and figure out something to write. I'm hoping that by going and speaking to these people on Tuesday, they're going to be enthusiastic about An Heir to Murder, and that's going to make me enthusiastic about writing the sequel. Because I've created the cover, I've started a document, I just have to get the darn thing done, don't I? Anyway, I'm gonna be off. I'm gonna go. If I talked about anything in this video that you feel like discussing, then, you know, comments. Always appreciated. I've yet to become one of those people who's all like, comment and subscribe, but I believe it helps. I think someone was looking for the charity shop, but they pointed at me and walked away, so whatever. I hope you got something out of this video, because until next time, that is all.